back. How excited are we, MJ? Oh my God, say hi.
We're so excited. Hello.
I know that was a lot. This is our first F1 recap pod. Are you?
Oh, true.
Like, I know. Yeah, this is the first time. The last 3 weeks there hasn't been any F1.
That.
Yeah,
That's
I know you don't think about F1. Yeah, you don't think about F1 the way we do. The way we, meaning me and the audience, not you. We're exiting you out of that for sure. But if you want to listen to the F1 stuff, we do have other stuff to cover. You just got to stick around. Isn't that right, MJ? Because we also had NASCAR racing. And it got spicy. It got spicy.
It did get spicy.
But we're actually going to start with IndyCar. And I feel like we shouldn't even, goof around anymore. Like, we should just get straight to it. Like, we're real serious podcasters. Like, we should get to the news. The news that people want to know, right?
Yeah, let's just jump right into the news.
Let's just jump right into it.
Jump right into the news. Last week we had the IndyNXT testing at IMS, which is kind of exciting because we actually had 9 rookies testing, and 2 of which were announced. I think there were more announced last week, but I'd probably say the most notable mentions were Dennis Hauger, who is going to be racing for Andretti next year in IndyNXT. I don't really watch F2. This is me. I'm coming out and saying it. I don't really watch F2, but he was an F2 driver, or is currently an F2 driver, but next year he will be transitioning to IndyNXT. And then we also had Haley Deegan has been announced to be joining HMD Motorsport. She has not done open wheel racing, so it's very much new to her.
She's more familiar to the NASCAR crowd than she probably is to the IndyCar crowd, but she's kind of making a change in direction in her racing career, and I think that it is really exciting to see because nobody really knows what to expect, I don't think.
No, it'll be interesting. For having never been in an open wheel car before, she did pretty well. She did admit, when she was talking about it, she was like, yeah, I was struggling. It was the first time I ever did that, but, what can you expect? But something interesting
This is the first time we've done a podcast, and we're struggling, some would say. I'm just kidding. That
Absolutely.
was a joke. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
we're not struggling. It's actually perfect.
Anyways, moving on along. What I was going to say, I was reading the recap that IndyCar put out about the IndyNXT testing, and they said this year the first fastest was Miles Rowe, he was in IndyNXT last year. This is his sophomore year, so obviously he went the fastest, but that's interesting. Fair. But then the second fastest was Dennis Hauger, who had never been in an IndyNXT car before. And then another little fun fact on top of that, last year, it was Foster went the fastest, who ended up winning the championship, and Abel, who went second fastest during this testing last year, was second in the championship. So that feels kind of like, if you're a Dennis Hauger fan,
good for you.
I don't know, that feels kind of promising.
And then, if I remember correctly, the IndyNXT champion did end up getting a spot. What about the guy who came in second?
Yes. He did not get an no IndyCar seat for him next year as of right now. He could be announced, but I think he's actually signed for another year in IndyNXT. Don't quote me on that, but I think he is doing
I won't.
Another year. Yeah, don't.
Yeah. Guys, you heard her. Don't quote her on it. But that's very interesting, and it is cool to see that the testing maybe holds a little value, and also that IndyNXT, doing well in IndyNXT holds a lot of value, and that it could potentially lead to a seat. And I think that that's really sick. There was another round of testing that was done with current IndyCar drivers. The article I read specifically pointed out Pato and Colton Hurd over there. It was an Iowa test because Iowa had some issues this year. You were there. Do you want to report? Was it the worst race you've ever been to?
It was horrible. Because they had repaved the track for NASCAR. It is one of those NASCAR-owned tracks. And then for some amazing reason, Pirelli decided... Not Pirelli. That's F1.
Yeah,
Firestone. Decided to make these tires that just didn't have any deg at all, which is amazing. Congratulations. Not great for racing, but
yeah. So they kind of were I think testing out some new tire makeups in this test. It was more of for the purpose of Firestone that it is for the drivers or the teams or anything. But apparently Pato and Cole and Herta both felt that there is some progress being made in the tires to try to make the Iowa race more entertaining next year, which is wonderful news for MJ. So, maybe not for anybody else. But good news for MJ.
But it's really important to me, so that counts for something, I think.
And then the last piece of IndyCar news I wanted to share is actually not news at all. It's just something that Andrea saw or heard and she thought was interesting. So take that as you will. I was listening to Off Track, and they mentioned that if you're a driver and you're under 21 and you win in the United States, they actually do not let you drink the champagne. And that's in like all motorsport, according to Hitchcliff. I was like, damn.
I feel like that makes sense.
You can't even underage drink if you like did really good in a car race. Dang, what is this country, bro? You can't even, you did really super fast, but you can't even drink champagne? Like, what the freaking heck, dude? So, there's that. IndyCar, nothing happening there, except for just testing. But
just testing.
There is something happening in NASCAR, and it's getting good. It's getting spicy. We're in the final 8. Now, we recorded our episode last week before a very key piece of information was released about the race on the Roval. Would you like to let us know what it is, MJ? Do you want to break the news to our listeners who are living under a rock and have no idea what happened?
I'll break the news. I'll break it about a week too late, which is, I feel that feels appropriate.
On par
for me.
For us, yeah, that's good.
That's pretty on par. But about an hour and a half, literally an hour and a half after we finished recording, it was announced that Alex Bowman, who drives the number 48?
Sure. The purple car.
It's either 48 or 43. I'm sorry. He was actually disqualified from the round of 8 because his car was underweight. And they give you some wiggle room with the weight. You get like 17 pounds. Yeah.
This is not like a George Russell, like you know how like George Russell, it was like, he was like the smallest fraction, like, oh my God, if he would have just drank a little bit more water before the race or something, he would have been fine. This is not F1, okay? It's not like a little bit. It's a lot. 17 pounds is a lot.
Yeah, a 17-pound margin, and then they also let you like refuel the car. They really give you a lot to wiggle with. They let you run the water system. And it just wasn't going to happen. They had the opportunity, Hendrick Motorsports had the opportunity to appeal it, and they're like, yeah. Actually, we weren't going to make that anyway, so sorry about that. And Alex came out like a couple days ago, and he was talking about how he found out. Because he had made it to the final 8. He had won. I mean, he had won his ticket in there. And then he was like having dinner with his family, and he got the phone call. And after he got the phone call, he was like so frustrated with it. He's like, I know my phone's gonna be blowing up. Fuck that. And he chucked it hard enough into the pool that it thought he was in a car accident and called 911. And so 911 showed up, and he had to explain the NASCAR playoff format and who the fuck Joey Logano is. who ended up making it into the playoffs because he got disqualified, or the round of 8 because he got disqualified. Had to explain that to the police officers. Like, no, I didn't get into a car accident. I was just underweight.
Yeah, like the cops were like, wait, like 17 pounds is quite a margin. Like, why were you guys 17 pounds overweight? The cops were like, no, what happened here? Like, what actually occurred? And they were like, I'm still a little confused about what the final 8 is. You're telling me that there's a playoff, but other people are still racing? He had to go through the whole thing. You know what? He should have told the cops to just tune in to the Lapstown pod. We would have explained the whole thing for him. You know what I mean? Saved him some time.
We would have tried, at least. But that wasn't the only breaking news, exciting drama that came out of NASCAR this week. Earlier in this week, Jenna Fryer posted an article. This was crazy when this came out. This whole week for NASCAR has felt like a fever dream, I swear.
Yeah.
But she basically broke the news that NASCAR knows about allegations that there is a engineer from, I mean, they named the name, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they said it was Joe Gibbs Racing. Okay. Mm-hmm. There is an engineer from Joe Gibbs Racing who is, like, seeking other routes of employment. Who has been basically exchanging their setup information for cash to another team who, like, a non-playoff team. Crazy. How, and NASCAR was basically like, no, we know about the allegations of it, but until anything's filed, like, what are we supposed to, you know, like, what can we do about it? NASCAR, the governing body of NASCAR.
I feel like there's definitely something they could do about it. Also, love that he's just like, listen, I take cash, and they're like, oh, sorry, we don't have any cash. He probably was like, I have Cash App, I have Venmo.
You can Venmo me.
But, like, that is so funny to just be, like, bebopping around to see who's interested in the info that you have. And, yeah, I don't know. I just think that I'm curious to see what the root of action is from this. You know what I mean? Because it's like, now that we all know, then there's no way that person's going to be seeking employment elsewhere. And there's also no way that they're still employed at Joe Gibbs, right?
Absolutely not. Well, Ty Gibbs, did you see Ty Gibbs' interview where he's like, you know, there was one team that got suspiciously fast after, and this was before any of this was announced. He's like, there's one team that got suspiciously fast after the Olympic break. I don't know. And it's RCR. It's Richard Childress Racing. Well, allegedly. I don't know anything. NASCAR.
MJ,
please do not sue
please,
me.
allegedly. Please, allegedly.
Allegedly. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. And then,
speaking of lawsuit, can I give you a little touch up, unless you wanted to keep going? What did you want to keep going on?
No, I want to hear about the lawsuit. Let me cool down for a minute.
Yeah, I feel like you're gonna get us sued if we let you keep going down this road. Speaking of getting sued, we talked a little bit about the 2311 front row racing lawsuit that was filed maybe 2 weeks ago now, and we finally got a response from NASCAR, and it was a whole lot of just nothing, like boring legal stuff. They did have a little tidbit in there where they said that they were planning a season with only 32 charters. Not sure what that means for the two plaintiffs of the lawsuit, but they kind of made it sound like that is what's fair to the other teams that have signed the charter. They will rearrange the money, and I guess that means like you could get more money if you earn money through the charter system next year. I feel like this is not a good look for NASCAR, in my opinion. I think it's like, again, just kind of throwing it in now the judge's face that, like, yeah, see, we run things around here. And it's like, yeah, no, that was kind of the issue, is that you guys were like little tyrants running this place, and now you're like kind of retaliating against people that are like trying to seek better contractual terms through this charter agreement. That's actually the issue. That's what we were mad about. Right? Like, I don't understand the law.
Yeah, that's actually the root of the problem.
Yeah, but thank you for displaying it. Yeah, no, that's fair. So, I don't know. I think NASCAR is kind of digging their heels in on the wrong issues, in my opinion. Probably not a good look for them. And the judge probably will be like, you guys are assholes. Right?
Probably. I mean, they'd
that's
be
what
right.
judges say.
I do think you guys are assholes. And that's official, because I'm a judge.
Put it in the notes.
That 2311 kind of shot themselves in the foot, though, because they kept going, we're racing next year with or without charters. And I was like, hey, if you didn't say that second part, hey, guys, if you didn't say that second part, this probably would have helped a lot. Because now NASCAR, they don't have to give you the charters. They should have kept their mouth shut.
Yeah, are we blaming that on Denny?
I would like
Is
to.
it Denny? Yeah.
It was Denny. He has a podcast. You can't have a podcast where you're going through a lawsuit.
Yeah,
Bestie.
That's why this is our last episode. I'm just kidding.
This will be it. If you guys don't hear from us, it's because we're in a lawsuit.
She didn't say allegedly soon enough before she just started throwing stones at other teams. But all of that has kind of been in the background to what has been a pretty exciting playoff season, I think. And today was the first go at the round of 8. Mm-hmm. Give us your thoughts, MJ.
It was a mess. It was an absolute comedy of errors. But don't worry, I'll start from the top. So we raced at the Vegas Motor Speedway, which is an oval. Not to get you guys excited about the Roval last week, and this was a gosh darn oval. No Roval. And just to we should probably start with qualifying, I guess, which I didn't watch. But I caught the notes from it. But
she's
Christopher
honest.
Bell, I try to be. Christopher Bell started on pole, and something really interesting. So NASCAR, the person who gets pole position gets to choose where their pit stall is. Did you know? Have you heard about this?
I did not know that. No.
They get to choose where their pit stall is, and typically you would want pit stall number 1 because it's closest to the, getting back on track.
Because you're going.
Because you're going. However, they decided to choose pit stall number 6 because apparently Vegas is like notorious for having a slippery like pit lane. Crazy thing to be known for.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Why is it slippery? What's happening?
How did it get so slippery?
Why is it slippery, and how do we make it not that?
How do we? Yeah, what? I genuinely no idea.
Y'all got some paper towels back there or something? They don't have those in Vegas.
mop
Like
it
what the
up.
fuck does that mean? Make it not slippery. I'm sorry. Anyways,
Figure it
he goes
out.
with number 6. Yeah.
So he goes with pit stall number 6 because the last 2 winners of the race were in pit stall number 6. Okay, so we're setting ourselves up for a good race for
superstitious.
Christopher Bell. Yeah, well, and I think it just had to do with like timing, whatever, what have you. So that was interesting. And then Ryan Blaney, who was another one of the playoff contenders, he binned it. He binned it into a wall during practice. So he started from the back. He also started in a backup car. Not a lot going well for Ryan Blaney, but it gets so much
Yikes.
worse. Don't you freaking worry, guys. It's everything bad that happened. It just gets a little bit worse. Also, honorable mention to Rey Mysterio. Did you ever watch WWE?
No. I think you might have to explain this a little more to me.
They did like this little feature at the beginning where Rey Mysterio was talking about like how badass you are to be a NASCAR driver and how it's like just like being a WWE superstar. Oh, Rey Mysterio, did I even say that? He was a WWE superstar like back when I was a kid.
Oh.
And he was my favorite WWE superstar. So it really felt, I don't know. I don't know. It gave me
just
chills when I was
his own
watching
horn.
it. He literally, I don't know. I don't really understand why he was there. But moving on from the Rey Mysterio shout out, I just wanted to share that piece of my childhood with you.
And this is now a WWE podcast. Thoughts?
We could do it.
Good
I think it would be-
transition. We're into
feel
it
like
all.
We're already pushing it with like NASCAR and IndyCar. I think if we added WWE, I think that would really seal the deal for a lot of people and they just would not listen anymore.
0 listeners.
Yeah. It would just be me playing
Which
on
is
repeat.
one less than we have now. Me, the only listener.
There weren't too many, like there was nothing super crazy that happened in stage 1 besides Austin Dillon was violently crashed out by Daniel Hemrick. I mean, they were kind of riding in the back and Daniel just kind of, gave him a little nudge, clipped him a little bit, sent him into the wall. The car like burst into flames for a minute. But funnily enough, we always like to comment on like what the broadcast is saying, and today was the most unhinged broadcast because when this accident happened, it was Lee Diffie immediately went to go, well, they're friends off the track. I don't know why he would do that. And I was like, what?
Like making it sound
Are
like
you
it's
starting
personal?
drama? Yeah.
Yeah, he actually did it on purpose, and you guys should definitely fight about it off camera, but also maybe on camera. If you guys are interested, come into the booth. Let's fight it out.
Literally. And they did. I mean, Austin Dillon, when he was like out of the car and we were like, oh my God, he's okay. He was pointing at the other car. He was yelling. He even did his little post crash interview. And he was, there's a feud now. They're beefing.
This is WWE.
Austin and Daniel.
It's not that different. He's right. This is WWE.
This is WWE. Rey Mysterio was right. I love that. But so,
And we've always said that. He's so right.
and we've always said that. But that was a lot of the action for stage 1. Tyler Reddick went ahead. He went ahead and won stage 1, so he got 10 extra points, which is great because he actually crashed out in stage 2. I know. Literally, you had texted me, like, as I was writing, like, holy shit, Reddick just flipped his car, and you were like, how's NASCAR? And I was like, maybe I shouldn't tell her, actually, because I know you have a soft spot. She's actually, things are going really good. Everything's great.
You're not gonna like it, but it's happening.
It's definitely
so
happening.
he's one of our final 8. Another person who had a bad final 8 situation, Kyle Larson. I was like tuning in and I was like, where is Kyle Larson? And you said he did not have a good pit stop.
It was a disaster class in pit stop. That happened after the Reddick, Elliott, Keselowski. So it was Reddick. Reddick had kind of like tried to squeeze in a hole that he thought was there, but he admitted later it wasn't there. After he had flipped the car, he was like, "Yeah, no, it actually wasn't there." And I was like, "I could have told you that."
Yeah, no, we gathered as much. Your car is upside down, so we figured that it wasn't going to work.
The hole wasn't there. He decided to take out Elliott, who is another one of our playoff drivers, of course, and then Brad Keselowski. Initially, I thought Brad Keselowski had committed the crime, and I was like, Andrea's gonna be pissed when she finds out that her least favorite NASCAR driver took out her most favorite one. Not Brad.
Typical Brad.
But that wasn't the situation. But he was out. So now we have 2 playoff drivers struggling. It also took out Blaney because Blaney spun trying to avoid it. That's another playoff driver struggling. And then, a few laps later, Kyle Larson, literally worst pit stop ever. And it did affect the whole rest of his race. Yeah.
So it seems like if you were a playoff driver, you were either in the top half or you were fucking eating shit in the back. That seems like how this worked.
Absolutely.
So the people that were killing it in the front, it looks like Hamlin had a pretty okay race.
He had a horrible race. I do not know how he ended up there. Absolutely.
So his end result is not representative of what happened. Okay.
No, he was bleeding spots at one point. He lost like 26 spots in like 4 laps. Andrea, I can't even explain to you how crazy this race was. The end result does not at all show the rest of the. I mean, we had Daniel Suarez leading for like a lot of the race. He was leading earlier stages too, and then he led the 3rd stage as we were trying to watch Christopher Bell, who pitted late, try to catch up to him. And then somehow Joey Logano wins. Joey Logano, who would not have made it into the round of 8 had freaking Alex Bowman been more than 17 pounds underweight. How did Joey Logano get here?
I think that everybody is like fucking typical Logano, like it's an even year, blah blah blah. They're going on and on. Yeah. But like they literally, so they had like this graphic that was like, oh, Bell is about to get Suarez. Like they were like pinning those two together. They were like, oh my god, like look at where they are on track. It's less than a half a track distance. Like, oh my god, Bell is gonna get him. Bell's gonna get him. And then they're like, oh shit, where the fuck did Joey Logano? Like they were like. Sorry guys, we totally forgot to show you guys that Joey Logano's actually leading and like it's the last lap and like he's totally gonna win it. And I was like,
they totally counted Joey Logano out.
You guys didn't fucking tell me that he was even in this right now.
That was crazy. They blatantly counted him out. They're like, no, the real threat of this race is Daniel Suarez. And I love the man. I adore the man. I adore his Tootsie paint scheme. But the fact that they were like, oh my god, he's got to get this away from Daniel Suarez, as Joey Logano, who's in the playoffs right behind him this whole time.
He's between Bell and Suarez. He's right there. Why did nobody even like pretend he cared?
We didn't even consider that the person behind him could stop Bell from winning this race. I lost my mind when they said that. God. I lost my freaking mind. But anyways, that's NASCAR.
I'm gonna pour one out for Joey Logano. Shout out, man.
Pour one out for Joey Logano. So now Joey Logano, so sick. Who, once again, I cannot express this enough. Joey Logano was knocked out of the playoffs last week, and everyone was like, he didn't race to deserve to be in the round of 8. And I think that's totally a fair and valid thing to say. He is now going to make it to the championship 4. He just punched his ticket to Phoenix.
Yeah, he's good.
I'm losing my
American
mind.
Idol. You know, like in American Idol, when they're like, you're going to Hollywood. I think it's so funny how they're like, you're going to Phoenix. Yes. Arizona. It's such an unserious city for this to be like such a big hype thing. That's like the funniest thing to me about this whole playoffs. Is it's like we're all building towards Phoenix, Arizona.
Arizona.
Oh my God. Arizona. That's where Bella Swan's family lived.
His mom, or what was it? Bella's mom and her
hot baseball boyfriend. Shout out. She's like, I'm gonna abandon my kid for this this hot
Look,
baseball guy.
I gotta be honest. You want me to be mad at her for that? Bella seemed like boring. She seemed like a vibe kill. Not that we're discussing that right now.
I feel like she literally was like, you would not like Phoenix. You're so pale and weird. Anyways, I'm going to hang out with my boyfriend.
That's exactly what she did. And you know what? The older I get, the more I'm like, I would have done the same thing.
Did she have a point? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what age you're allowed to abandon your kid, but like she was like sophomore in high school. She was fine.
She was fine.
And like Charlie seemed cool, whatever. She got over it. So do we have anything else to say about NASCAR before I let us move on? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean that's a crazy race. I can't wait to watch it. I didn't get to fucking watch it because I had to watch F1. One of us had to. Yeah. Because they hate us and they make them the same time now.
Sucks for you. No, I'm just kidding. Just like looking at the playoffs, I just wanted to do like a quick little, this is where we're sitting now. Not that anything ever matters, but just so you know.
Yeah, that none of
so
this
Joey
matters.
Logano, no. Joey
Good.
Logano has 1 win, which means he's in. Christopher Bell is sitting 42 points above the cutoff. And then we have Kyle Larson, who's 35 points above the cutoff. William Byron, who is 27 points above the cutoff. And then below, who is at risk as of right now, will be eliminated. Denny Hamlin, 27 points below. Tyler Reddick, 30 points below. Stick with me, Andrea. We can get through it. Ryan Blaney is 47 points below. Chase Elliott is a crisp 53. Can I just say, we made our playoff predictions for the Final Four. We are wrong. Both of them busted.
We're so fucked. Maybe we should tell people just who our Final Four are, just for like the purpose of, if you don't follow us on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, then it's definitely your loss. But we'll go ahead and fill you in on our insightful predictions that are now completely pointless and useless. You ready, MJ? Your Final Four. Can't wait to read this off. Larson, Reddick, Bell, Blaney. Do you have any comments to make?
Nope.
Okay.
Words.
We'll just move on to mine because I think mine might be worse. We have Larson, Bell, Reddick, Hamlin.
God, what have we done? I feel like, is this on us?
We're so good. Yeah, we're so good. We're so good, guys. Like literally, we can see the future.
Oh
wow,
God.
we're so smart. So we have next week Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can we address something? Can we address the elephant in the room about watching NASCAR? These races are not in any of these fucking cities, by the way. Like, they literally are just like, what is the nearest metropolitan area? And then they pick some random ass fucking city that this, like, speedway that they're at is, like, actually not at all close to. Like, I'm like, we are not in fucking Vegas right now. Stop saying we are, because we're not. We're in the middle of the fucking desert.
It's called marketing, Andrea. They're marketing.
Next week we're in Miami. Sure. I bet we are. Sure. We're in the fucking Everglades, probably. They probably got a speedway out back in the fucking swamp.
We're not even in Florida.
It's in like the Panhandle, like, basically Alabama or some shit. Who knows?
No, it's like fully in Oklahoma, and they're like, yeah, it's pretty close to Miami if you think about it.
Like squint. I don't know. The measurements are a little weird on maps, but it's kind of close. You'll figure it out.
It's close.
So I think that's everything on NASCAR.
That's it. That's
Alrighty,
it.
so now our fans, all you guys that just care about F1, we can get to the gritty. We can get to COTA. We can get to the U.S. Grand Prix.
Just saying, going into this, I don't know anything about the race. I turned it on long enough to see Lando Bottle to start. I was satisfied and I clicked out. So I don't know anything. I don't know anything besides that, and so I'm learning with you guys.
You know some of the lead up. Okay, we've had a lot of lead up this week. We've had a long break with F1, and there was lots of emotions and feelings that people needed to get out, including Helmut Marko for no reason was like, I think that Lando's a little crybaby, and everybody was like, okay, that was a little mean for no fucking reason, but thanks for sharing, I guess. Like, what the fuck was that about?
He's so unhinged. We have to. I don't know who keeps giving him a microphone.
I don't even know. I think he just finds him on the ground. He picks him up and he just says into him, hey, does anybody else think that Lando's a little crybaby? And they're like, who said that? Oh, it's just Helmut again.
I feel like every time he says something, he expects the room to clap. Like, he dropped something like that, and he's like,
they're like, you're so
they're gonna
brave.
love this. You're so brave. Speak your truth, King.
Yes. Okay, but can I be honest? I think what he was meaning to say is actually something that's not uncommon of a sentiment right now in the F1 commentary community. And it's one that I think after this race, a lot of people are going to continue to say. By what they mean, maybe by his like mental strength, I think they're referring to like, can he handle the pressure? Can he like handle the max breathing down his neck? Can he put his elbows out, and can he be like, you know what, fuck this, I'm gonna win this championship because I'm the best driver this year and I don't want to hear any shit from anybody? He does not have that attitude at all. Oh my god, he does not have it at all if his life depended on it. He is depresso about every mistake he makes. He is like so sad. He is so hard on himself. He has no confidence in his ability, and it's like so like uncharacteristic for people that are like F1 champions. Like, look at the people that are F1 champions on the grid. You have Lewis, Max, Fernando. None of them ever admit their mistakes. Like maybe they do, but like it's caveated with like, it wasn't really my fault, but everybody's saying it's my fault, so I guess I can, fine, it might have been a little bit my fault. Like, they never actually think they made any mistakes. Lando will admit to mistakes that nobody asked him to admit to. I don't know why he does
he'll
that.
admit to mistakes that he didn't even make. It's like, it kind of
like,
makes me wonder,
why?
what kind of support system do you have behind you, like within the team, that's like not telling you, or like whatever kind of guidance he needs, like if he needs some gentle parenting behind the scene, if he needs like, I know they switched Charles recently to a more supportive,
he needed more affirmation.
race
he needed
engineer.
words of affirmation. Yeah.
It's like Lando's been with this team for what, 35 years now? They haven't been able to figure out like how to support him properly, that he's still having these issues on like international television. Help him out a little. Someone gotta help him out. We can't keep doing this.
And I think that's maybe you know what, I'm not going to give Helmut Marko that credit. That might not be what he was saying at all, but I'll go ahead and say that's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, Helmut Marko might have been like, no, he's just a little bitch, and then everybody was like, why would you fucking say that? Why would you share that? You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. But we also had a cheating scandal. Red Bull has a part that allows them to change the ride height of their car after a point when they're not supposed to. But they said that they can't actually do it once the car is assembled, and it's actually just a part to help them with assembly. But it would get them advantage if they were to use it. But then nobody can prove that they used it. So then we're all going to just like, they promise the FIA that they won't use it. But it is technically illegal. I don't know. What is F1 without a cheating scandal? Like, that's why we're all here, right? Right?
I love a cheating scandal.
Like, everybody loves a cheating
scandal. You ain't trying.
Yeah, everybody loves a cheating scandal. It doesn't matter what kind of motorsport you're into. You like a cheating scandal, okay? And everybody's like feigning. They're like so upset. They're like, Red Bull should give back all their championships. Like, Max should give up all his points. Like, he's a cheater. But they love it.
Crazy.
They love it. They love a little cheating scandal. Even if you're a Lando fan, you love it. Yeah.
Well, didn't they just have a cheating scandal too?
Their mini DRS.
Yeah,
is that what you're referring to? Yeah.
Yeah.
They said that they wouldn't use that anymore, I think, as well. So, like,
I've heard that before.
We're all cheating. It's fun. Okay? Get over it. We then also had a little issue before any racing started with Williams. Would you like to share?
Yeah. Yeah, we're hearing about cheating scandals. Like, these cars are so fucking fast. They're performing so well. They're cheating. Oh my god. And then Williams can't even get their Zoom to work. Did you hear? That's literally what the issue was. They got called to the stewards for not attending a driver's meeting at an appropriate time. And the report back from the team said, we tried to get them to log on to the Zoom and we couldn't, like, the software wasn't working. And that's why they got called to the stewards, because they literally couldn't get on their Zoom. And meanwhile, we've got mini DRSs, we've got this cool little device on the Red Bull, and then Williams is like, they got taken out by
Zoom to work? Yeah, I love that. That's like literally, that was literally me during like the COVID college days when I'd be like, oh, sorry, I couldn't make it to class today, my Zoom didn't work.
I did that
frequently. Love that. Love that for Williams. Yeah, they probably are like, Yeah, we only have the free version of Zoom too, so if this meeting is going to go over 45 minutes, we're definitely going to get kicked out. So can we keep it moving? I love Williams so much. Speaking of Williams, the sprint race. You watched the sprint race. We talked a little bit about it on live. Franco Colapinto, inject that shit in my veins, bro. That dude is so fucking fast. Franco Colapinto is coming for all your fucking jobs, okay? He's insane. He went the fuck off in that sprint race. I literally want to just like watch a highlight reel of that for the rest of my life. I love you so much, Franco Colapinto.
So
love
good.
you. Love you. Also, who went crazy during the sprint race is Carlos Sainz. Love him too. He literally just started driving out of nowhere like a man who got fired from his current employer, doesn't give a shit, just driving for himself. He's free. He's wild and he's free. He was battling a lot with Charles. Charles was like whinging on the radio a little bit, like, why don't we race the people in front of us instead of each other? And Carlos was like, shut the fuck up. And he like passed him, and then he passed George, and then he made it past Lando because Lando had like a lockup on, I think, the last lap of the sprint race, and he made his way up to P2 in the sprint race. And I just think, shout out to Carlos. He is like realizing, I'm not getting any fucking podiums next year, so we gotta do this now. We gotta go now. We gotta drive.
He's gotta get it out of his system.
Yeah, but I think that was awesome. Also in the sprint race, Fernando got on the radio and was like, this AlphaTauri's a fucking idiot. And the AlphaTauri he was referring to was Liam Lawson. He then proceeded to berate Liam Lawson once they got out of the car. They were like fighting with each other once they got out of their cars. And now these people are like mad at Fernando because they like, Fernando bullies younger drivers. My question is, do we care?
Let him, I mean, man's old. You know? He's gotta have something to do.
He's gotta have
also,
something to
younger
live for,
drivers, they're both in their 20s. They're not like, it's not, if he was doing it to Kimmy, I'd be like, that's a child, Fernando?
Yeah.
That's a child.
Yeah.
But these kids can hold their own. I'm not, and they probably love it. I bet Franco's like going home giggling, writing in his diary, like, today, Fernando Alonso spoke to me. He was mad, but he still spoke to me.
I think that, yeah, Fernando's a cool 29. He's still got a lot of maturing to do. And a couple more years in the sport, I think that he will be able to, you know, keep his cool a little better. I don't know. I think, like, Fernando's got to have something to live for because it is not this Aston Martin's performance. So, like, let him bully younger drivers. More bullying, sure. They can take it.
Yeah, you gotta keep him entertained long enough that he sticks around for Adrian Newey. You know, he has to have something to do.
And it's yelling at children.
Yeah.
Love that.
That's fine. And you know what? I would have done the same thing, Fernando.
So then we have our qualifying. Is there anything to know? Hamilton has a shitty qualifying. He gets out in Q1. He qualifies, I think, 19. We had a lot of issues with track limits in the qualifyings. I know how you love track limits. There was no tattling. There was no tattling necessary. They were on it. So, like, anybody that love even it. Hit the line, you know, like, oh, there might be track limits. They were fucking on that shit. A lot of people were getting lap times deleted. I think Lewis got one. I think that Sergio Perez got one deleted. I'm trying to think of other people that got lap times deleted. I think in the sprint qualifying, there was a lot. I think Oscar might have gotten one deleted in sprint qualifying. Very interesting. I think that they're going to put gravel next year on the turn that was giving people problems. I know. They're like, we don't know how to make people...
That's how you know it's a good racetrack. That's how you know it's a good racetrack, because you can have a track limit situation. They can pass each other. That's what you want in a racing series, and I will stand by it. Let the track, let them breathe. Let the track limits breathe.
Yeah, you're so brave for that, MJ. No, I agree. I fucking hate the gravel pits. I think they're so stupid.
It's so stupid.
Ugh. I don't know. They did that in Austria, right? I think.
Yeah, which was,
and then they were
race was the reason that I got into F1, because of how bad the track limits were last year. And then they were like, actually, we're gonna take that away. And you know what? They took away Logan. They took away track limits. What is there? What is left?
What is there for MJ to continue to tune in for? Nobody knows. Might be Haas though. We're slowly trying to like pitch the idea that MJ might become like Madame Haas. She might be like the Haas girly. We're trying to figure that out. I'm trying to work it into her, guys. So if you guys can help me out with that,
We'll
that'd
work on
be so
it.
sick. So we get to the race, and Lando has pole. What do you think he's gonna do with it?
The same thing he does every time he has pole, which is hand it off to
Yes.
somebody else.
Correct. And this time, he was very focused on Max, and so like he was really trying to make sure he was defending against Max. He completely left the door open for Charles. Charles got his way around both of them, and they both looked like big doofuses. Okay, big doofus awards for Max and Lando. Okay, they're over here like. And like honestly, Carlos almost got past them too. And the Ferraris were fast this weekend. So Charles getting out in front, that was it. That was his race. Good job. He's in first now. That's it. That's all that he needed to do. And they literally like handed it to him by like being big doofuses, the two of them. Love that. Shout out.
Love that. Shout out to our big
honestly,
doofuses out there. We see you, we
shout out
love
to
you,
our
we
big-
respect you. You make this sport great.
Big doofus representation is happening in F1,
We
and we
love.
love to see it.
We love it.
Yeah, Carlos was like this close to also sneaking past, and that would have honestly made his life a lot easier. He did end up still getting second, but he had to play a strategy game. And so we'll just comment on the Ferrari one too. Ferrari did wonderful. Charles got out in front, and that's basically all he needed to do. He was good for the rest of the race. We literally didn't even see him on the broadcast. They were like, I don't know, he's just fucking around up there. And then Carlos had to just kind of play a little bit of a strategy game to get past Max, and oh my God, am I about to say that Ferrari strategy? They did it. They did what they needed to do. So that was that. Shout out Ferrari. I don't think they're going to be able to do that again for the rest of the season. They have no more upgrades, I don't think. So
Maybe that works for them.
Enjoy
They didn't
it.
have upgrades this weekend.
true. So what the fuck
Maybe
do I
that's
know?
their vibe. Yeah.
There was one point where I thought Carlos was going to DNF because he was talking on the radio. He was saying like something's wrong with the car. Things are not feeling right, and it smells like fuel. And they were like, it smells like fuel? And he was like, it smells like fuel. And they were like, okay, we'll check. And I was like, check what? Like, the man says it smells like fuel. What the fuck are you guys going to check? They were such like little gaslighters, bro. And then they like started talking to him about strategy, and he literally was like, I have no idea what the fuck you guys are saying right now. Like, are we even talking the same like what are we saying? Like, none of that was in the meeting. It was a very Roman Grosjean, like that was not in the email. Like, he was like, what are you guys saying?
Read the wrong email.
Yeah. So I have no idea what Ferrari is up to, but they got a 1-2, so that's all that matters. So then Lewis spun off, and we got our first safety car that we've had since Canada. That safety car driver was like, oh shit, you guys need me now? I thought we didn't do this anymore. But he was pissed. Lewis was pissed. Okay. He was like walking around the car, like scratching his head and shit, like he was gonna figure something out by looking at the car. And he's got to be like so ready to go to Ferrari. So
For
over
sure.
the shit.
What even happened?
He did basically I didn't even mention George Russell had a massive crash in qualifying, and he basically spun out like all on his own accord. Like he was driving, lost the back end of the car, spun out, hit the barriers. Lewis did basically the same exact thing on the same exact corner. He just wasn't going as fast as George was during qualifying, so he didn't hit the barriers. He just hit the gravel trap. But it was the same thing, the back of the car. They just lost the back of the car in the same corner. I don't know what the fuck is up with that, but I'm assuming like Lewis Hamilton doesn't usually make mistakes like that. Like say whatever you want about Lewis Hamilton. Like he's not going to make a driver's error like that, especially not like they weren't going like top speed, like qualifying, like, oh, I'm pushing it. So I think Mercedes has no idea what's wrong with their car. They have no idea why they can be fast on a Friday, slow on a Saturday, fast on a Sunday. Like they have no idea what changes from day to day, and gun to their head, they could not tell you what is going on with their car. So Lewis is probably like, I have got to go. And he does not care. So have fun with that, Kimmy.
He's got senioritis. Like, you know, when you have your like senior year of high school and you're like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm just here because legally the state requires me to be here. That's how he's feeling right now. And I can't say I blame him.
No, he, I think, is just like annoyed because I don't know. He just does that thing on the radio where he's like, "What is wrong with the car?" And they're like, "I don't know, Lewis, but you'll be okay." And he's like, "I fucking hate it here." He just complains on the radio, but like in like a very passive aggressive, like PR friendly way,
Yeah.
and it's just very Lewis of him. Um, so we had a safety car, but it didn't really like. It didn't really matter, to be honest. I thought like, safety cars can either be like the spiciest thing to happen in a race, or it could be like the most inconsequential thing, and it was one of those inconsequential safety cars. So we just kind of bebopped the fuck around for however long until Lando was like, wait a second, is that Max in front of me? Oh my God, I'm like a second away from Max. And they were like, you are a second away from Max. He's like, I should go get him. And they were like, ah, that would be so sick. So they like he takes forever to finally get up to Max. And then like there's so many laps where he like this close to passing him. They pass positions back and forth for like 4 or 5 laps. And then about 2 laps till the finish, he really goes for it. And Max kind of, what did he say, pushes him off the track. And in doing so, Lando kind of passes him off the track, but they're both off track. Lando just kind of comes out in front of him when they enter back onto track. There's only 2 laps left. And Max is like, he needs to get the position back. He passed me off track. And Lando is being told, like, we're not giving the position back until the FIA says we need to, because you guys were both off track and he was the one that pushed you guys there. And because there was no time left by the time the FIA had made their decision, he had a 5-second penalty. Everybody's fucking pissed. There's no other way to say it. Everybody's pissed because, there was a lot of track limits or like pushing people off track penalties handed out this week in very inconsistent ways. And a lot of people are just confused as to like what Lando was supposed to do. They were both pushed off the track. They were both off track. He came back out in front, but it's like, that's the only way he had to kind of avoid contact with Max. And then because it was so close to the end, there was nothing he could do about it. Like if that would have happened 20 laps to the end, he could have given the position back and then probably could have gotten it back.
Gained.
But yeah, but like there's nothing you can do when there's 2 laps left and the FIA takes 2 laps to make their decision. So basically the only thing McLaren could do is Oscar was behind Lando, and Oscar confirmed in the post race that they told him to like slow down so that the 5-second penalty Lando got wouldn't have
was only changed. One position.
Yeah. So like he basically ended 4th while Max ended 3rd. I think it's really interesting. I mean, McLaren did not look like the fastest car this weekend, and I don't know what Red Bull's upgrades really were, but they clearly did something that worked for Max. So he won the sprint, and then he came in 3rd in the race. Both times Lando was 1 position below him, but when you combine the two, I mean, it kind of did some damage to Lando's championship run this weekend. I mean, like, he needed to win both of these, period.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
Well, if only he had started from the best position at the race. Dang. Shoot, if only that was like absolutely set up for him.
Yeah.
Rats.
Yeah. Rats. I'm like,
Rats.
I don't know. And then, of course, like, now I just think, like, this is good old-fashioned FIA drama, because now you have, like, the Mercedes people complaining. You had Toto say that the lack of any sort of penalty for Max, but a penalty so severe for Lando, he said, quote, "It's odd and bizarre. I think we know why, but you can't say why on television." And they're all mad because George had gotten a penalty in the sprint race. No, George had gotten a penalty in the actual race for pushing somebody off track. I think it was Ocon, one of the motherfuckers I don't care about. And one of the people in the back that's just bebopping around. And I think Oscar had gotten a penalty in the sprint race for pushing somebody off track. And so people are saying, why did Lando get a penalty for passing off track, but no penalty for Max for pushing off track after they had done that so many times this weekend? And they're claiming it's rigged. And you know a sport is good when they're claiming it's rigged. That's all I gotta say. It's
crazy.
Rigged.
It's rigged. Probably rigged.
I mean, yeah. But when they asked Oscar, like, as a racer, like, what do you hope to happen in that sort of situation? Oscar says that they should just fight it out on track like they do in NASCAR.
Oh, like fist fight it?
Oh, no, he was saying, like, they should just be able to, like, bump the fuck out of each other like they do in NASCAR. Like, you should just be able to hit
I got
them.
excited. You totally could. It would destroy both of the cars. They would, I mean, well, and then Oscar in that case would have had a podium, huh?
Maybe that's why he's like, yeah, you guys just go ahead and fight it out.
Yeah, no, they should just fight. Why don't they just fight? I think they should wreck each other.
So that's going to be really, I think, interesting because we're going into because we're in a triple header. That means all of this FIA drama is just going to fuel into next week, and then it's going to fuel into the week after that. And I think, like, when they did the post-race interview with Lando, he was like, you know, I made a mistake at times. I had good racing with Max. I think it's unfair, but it is what it is. That is not what you need to be doing right now. Like, you need to be, like, burning the whole place down. You need to be like, this is fucked. This is rigged. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, because that's how you get the FIA to, like, give a fuck about you next race if there's any sort of contention. Because there's going to be FIA rulings that are going to have effect on the rest of the season because Lando and Max are going to be wheel to wheel more than just this weekend. You need to throw a fucking fit so the FIA will feel bad and stop fucking you over. But he doesn't do that. He's nice. You gotta stop being nice, Lando. Max is not being nice to you. I don't know. That's my thoughts. Fuck him. They need to fight.
Who?
Fight.
Oh,
both.
They should
no,
fight.
I'm just kidding. I love Max, but they should fight. Fight.
I don't even know. Like, the thing with Lando is he's just... Part of me doesn't see him as a world championship contender just because it just doesn't seem like he gives a fuck.
I want to, like, shake him and be like, you know, this is your one fucking shot, right? Like, there's a chance your car's
this could be it
next year or the year after or whenever. Like, this is it. This is you have the card right now. Like, let's fucking go.
Oscar has that mentality. And I think that might be why it's so frustrating. Is because we see Oscar, who doesn't really have a chance, have this mentality of, like, I still could do it. He's like, I'm not counting myself out. He's pulling a Joey Logano. He's like, I'm not out until I'm out. Until this is over. But then you have, like, Lando, who continues to he has the same issues every weekend, but he doesn't, like, actually correct the issues, but he doesn't, like, mentally correct the issues, which is kind of frustrating to see. And I'm sure there's more that plays on that. I'm not trying to, like, harp on him for any kind of, like, self-reflecting issues. But it is just kind of frustrating. It is just kind of frustrating to see because he could win. Yeah. I mean, he's not a bad driver. He just doesn't have, like, he doesn't have the fight in him like Max does. When Max is fighting from the middle of the grid, he's always a championship contender wherever he is on the grid, whatever hand he's dealt every weekend. Not to glaze Max. I just feel like whoa, that was weird for me. Not to glaze Max at all. That's 100% what I just did. But just in comparison to what we're seeing from Lando right now.
I think that Max, for some reason, Lando, like, I don't know if he has, like, some sort of mental block around, like, how to get around Max. Like, he kind of seems to, like, try the same thing every time. And Max shuts the door in his face, whether it's illegally or not. Okay, I'm not gonna, like, pretend like I fucking know how we ref this fucking shit. Okay, I'm not in the FIA, and even the people in the FIA don't even fucking know.
They don't know.
But, like, I think that, like, Lando is just kind of going for the same moves whenever he tries to pass Max. I don't know. I feel like maybe the only way that they can do this is through strategy. Like, maybe Max is just, like, an unpassable barrier for Lando. I don't know. But, like, maybe they need to, like, try to just do it off strategy or something. I don't know what it's going to take, but it's not working the way it is right now. And if you do this every weekend, you're going to get fucked over every weekend, Lando. So, McLaren, you don't need to hire me. Clearly, I have no solutions for you, but you guys need to figure it out. Make it work. So then we get to the podium, and I wanted to talk about something so important here, and I actually think I have an update for you that you don't even know. Okay. Ooh. So the trophies. We have to talk about the trophies. This is kind of old news, but, like, there's new development. So F1 no, Pirelli was like, we have these trophies that we sponsored. We're so excited. They're these ugly fucking Mickey Mouse statues, okay? They're so stupid looking. They have nothing to do with Texas. And everybody on the internet is like, what is this garbage? Like, nobody cares about these trophies that much, but like, they don't look like Texas at all. Like, why would you do these? They literally look, some people said they looked like Daft Punk. Some people said they looked like Mickey Mouse. Some people said they, what else did people say? That I don't know. People just didn't like them, okay? People hated them. Hate it. Chop. We hated it. So we cyberbullied them. I thought we cyberbullied them out of giving out the trophies, because then they get on the podium and they get these blank tires, okay? I haven't heard from you. Yes, like, you know how like the pole award, they get like a tire?
Oh, like an actual, it's not like a trophy of a tire. It was like, they're like, hey.
A tire.
That's like handing them a pair of gloves and being like, this is what you won. Here you go. This is all we could find in the garage. That's hilarious. So they handed the constructor, Carlos and Max, basically a pole award. Like the little tire that they get for winning pole just was empty. So like, I feel like they must have like genuinely just pulled out some pole awards that they were like supposed to give in future races, and they were like, okay, just give him this. And then they had some like random ass trophy that they gave Charles. Like, it was like a trophy nobody's seen before. Like, nobody knows where that came from. And everybody, including Pato, who like grew attached to these trophies because he was like doing promo for them all week. He took him out was like, where did they go? He had him like in the car. Like, he has a whole like photo series. Like, he took him on a walk. He had him like buckled into the car next to him. They like, it's like taking home the class pet. Like, Pato was with these trophies. This was the last time I saw these trophies. Yes. Yeah, these trophies, by the way, were like the size of a toddler, okay? They were absolutely ginormous. So everybody was like, what happened to the trophies? Did we actually cyberbully them into not giving out these trophies because they were so ugly? Well, just before we popped on to record, apparently Pirelli said that they pulled them because of potential similarities to other designs. People all week had been saying that they kind of look like collectible art statues made by the brand Bear Brick. And people wonder if they may have ran into some issues with Bear Brick, because they said not only we were giving out these trophies, but we're actually going to sell replicas of the trophy. And I wonder if Bear Brick was like fucking hell you are. I'm going to end your life. Down. I think that a lot of people thought that they were created by Bear Brick because they look so similar, but they weren't, apparently, allegedly. I don't know. Please don't sue us. I mean, like, we work so hard. Like, we really are not trying to start shit. So sorry.
Please don't sue us.
That's crazy. What an insane oversight. What a crazy oversight. Did someone just, like, submit it? They're like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make these little bears. They're going to love them in Texas. And that's all that the FIA, that's all that F1, that's all that Pirelli looked into it. They're like, oh, my God, they're going to love the little bears in Texas. They're going to love them. And then all of a sudden, they get, like, a DM. Like, hey, like you stole my design.
A cease and desist, and they're like, fuck.
Hilarious.
So the last little piece of racing news from this weekend was that we had two important teammate matchups according to me. There might have been people that cared about other stuff, but there's things I cared about. We had Liam and Yuki, who I think are competing for a Red Bull seat. Liam got one up on Yuki. Yuki, I think, had a little error during the race, maybe a lockup. He ended up not finishing in points, but Liam did. I think that's a big one up on Liam. And then Colapinto versus Albon. Colapinto got points. Albon did. I mean,
sounds about right.
I'm so sorry. This little Williams drama is writing itself, okay? Like, I love Williams so much. They just provide so much drama for us. But that was that on the racing. I love having James Hinchcliffe there, by the way. Can I just say, seeing him on my F1 TV, I love him so much.
Hearing him talk on the broadcast, like, I feel like I'm at home.
It's comfort.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I hear him. Colton Hurd is going to pop up on my screen soon, probably. It's just, it feels safe.
What?
Well, because he does the, well, he drives an IndyCar. James Hinchcliffe does the broadcast in IndyCar.
Connor was going to be at F1 for some reason.
Oh, yeah, they're finally going to give him the super license points that he deserves, and he's going to be... Breaking news. Don't sue me.
Yeah, breaking news. You heard it here first. Colton Herta is actually taking the second seat at Red Bull. That's so exciting. But James also did a little Dallas Cowboys cheerleader choreo for us in the F1 TV post show, showing off those Dancing with the Stars chops. He remembered the choreo from that they had taught him earlier in the day.
Dude, he was made for the stage. We have to get him away from race cars, and we have to get him to Broadway. Get him in the Music Man. This is how I get my musical
Hugh Jackman.
theater segment.
He's Hugh Jackman.
He is Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. He's like a little athletic guy who just likes to dance a little bit. That is Hugh Jackman.
He's Troy Bolton, too.
Oh, my God.
He was built for this.
James.
He was built for this.
So that is that on the racing news. I will say the next couple weeks are going to be a little bit of a challenge for me and MJ because basically now that we're in North America for F1, that essentially means that NASCAR and F1 are going to be at the same time. And so when you guys listen to this podcast, it is us recapping the races to each other because we cannot watch both of them. I try to follow NASCAR. She tries to follow F1. It's just impossible.
It's impossible,
we can't do it.
But we
do it for you guys.
Our best.
Yeah.
Nobody's asking actively not asking us to do this, and we're like, yeah, no, it's really hard for us to watch both of the races, and everyone's going, you don't have to watch both of the races. We don't care about NASCAR.
Nobody's
listening.
about
NASCAR. I care about NASCAR. I'm doing this for me. This has always been for me. This whole podcast was just so I could talk about NASCAR.
And
you heard it here first.
To listen.
Yeah.
But if you didn't get a chance to watch the NASCAR race, it sounds like you missed out on a good one. So be sure to check out, like I've said before, if you don't have cable, they post the full race on YouTube a couple days after. You can watch it there, and then you can listen to the episode and be like, oh my God, MJ was so right. LOL, that's exactly what happened. That was such a funny joke she told. I get it now because I watched the race. Fair?
Sounds fair to me. Let me know when you guys watch it. I want every one of you to individually tell me that you watched the race and that you laughed at my jokes that I said about the race. Please. Thank you.
Speaking of letting us know, you can let us know by following us on TikTok, on Instagram. We're at LapsDownPod. We also sometimes go live during the week, the two of us, on our personal accounts. Those are both linked in the TikTok bio. If you're curious, like when I talk about us talking about stuff on our personal accounts, you can look at those too if you want. We also post the podcast on YouTube if you want to watch it. I don't know why you'd want to like look at us, but like if you want to like just put us on your TV and listen to us, you can do that. And be sure to leave us a review. Some of you guys are leaving us reviews. It's really nice and it's really helpful. You can do it on Spotify. You can do it on Apple Podcasts. You can do it on whatever podcast service you listen to. What else do we got, MJ? Is that all the self-promo we usually do?
I think that's all the self-promo we do.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta do a little self-promo. Next week, we're going to be talking about the Miami NASCAR race and the Mexico Grand Prix. No IndyCar still, but we'll try to keep you up on little news happenings in IndyCar. And with that, I think it's time to say bye. Say bye, MJ.
Goodbye.
Way down the country, past the city limit signs,
There's a honky tonk.
Oh, God. Okay.